Now this video is about the back squat. We'll try to break the movement down in detail and see if there's any limitations going on. Then after that see if there's anything we can do about these limitations in terms of corrective exercises. So let's start with the descent phase, and this phase should be performed with a slow and controlled tempo, at least if you're a novice learner. So we breathe in, brace, and knees are tracking over toes as we descend. Looking at it from the side, you can see some key points here. Let's make it dynamic now with some of the key points rolling on the screen. Now from the frontal view it looked fairly okay, but when looking at it from the side there may be a couple of potential issues that we need to address. Let's look at one in more detail. I found an interesting finding when I was editing, and the first rep here you're going to see my knees are actually wobbling a bit, and this has a direct effect on the lumbar spine, but when I performed the second rep I reorganized. My knees are more stable, which brings about more fluent movement in the lumbar and pelvic region. Now we reach the bottom position. From the frontal view again, the technique looks pretty okay. But when switching to the side view, we have a couple of potential issues. We've lost a little bit of that neutral spine. The center of pressure is aimed a little bit more anteriorly, so the weight does not really go through the rear foot. And the thighs won't really drop below parallel relative to the ground. The anterior translation of the knees also seem somewhat restricted. This could be due to poor ankle range of motion, which in turn could affect the difficulties in achieving a deep squat position and subsequent forward lean of the trunk. Moving on to the ascent phase now. Knees are tracking fine and chest is out. Important here with a horizontal gaze so we can maintain the neutral spine. Now, as the weight was distributed more anteriorly, it's likely that the triple extension mechanism won't be as effective as it could be. Also at the bottom position we had a bit of a tuck going on at the sacrum with a forward flexed trunk, so we can see here that the back is quite strained during the ascent. Now let's summarize this limitation that we have seen. At the bottom position we could see some lumbar flexion and a relatively high degree of trunk inclination. The center of pressure was distributed anteriorly. The thighs did not go beyond parallel. We had some restricted anterior knee translation, possibly due to a limitation in dorsiflexion ankle range of motion, but we cannot be sure of that. So what can we do to correct these limitations and get better at squatting? To achieve sufficient depth, a wall squat could be a good place to start. Here we make it technically more easy. We offload the back. We don't have to worry about the tracking of the knees so much. And we can focus our attention on one thing only, really, which is the depth of the squat. Another quite a funny looking exercise is the squat walk. And here, with lots of hip flexion, we can work towards becoming comfortable in a deep position. With the box squat, we can, for instance, practice on shifting the weight towards the rear foot while maintaining a neutral spine, and we could also do that safely with the higher loads. Now, if we were to be worried about the forward lean of the trunk that we saw, we could work with the front squat. This would allow us to maintain a more erect position of the trunk during the lift. So the last one of my exercises here is really more of a self-mobilization tool. And if we found out here now that the ankle range of motion in dorsiflexion is limited and a contributor to poor squatting mechanics, with an elastic band we can pull the talus bone posteriorly, move to end range, and by that hopefully gain more movement at the ankle.